One, we're 5 years into the experiment. Why am I still conflicted about the new, Echo Park Speedway? Two, Ford may think they're short on power. Ryan Blaney sure isn't. And three, more red flags, more Brennan Poole heartbreak, more heartbreak for a lot of underdogs, actually. All that for another Justin Allgaier win. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back into yet another Tuesday edition of Ben and Brandon's Motorsport Monday. I'm your host, Ben Schneider, joined as always by my co-host, Brandon Crossland. Brandon, how are you?
And it's all my fault we're here on a Tuesday, but thank you for bearing with me. And glad to be here on a Motorsport Tuesday. And the gone stashless for the first time in a year, I think, or however long it's been. It's okay. It'll grow back in a few more hours. Give it time.
All good. And yes, we certainly understand your commitments yesterday, the local radio work that you were filling in for, and glad you were able to do that and we were able to be flexible here. But yes, thank you all for tuning in here. If you're catching this live or catching the replay, I understand not on our regular schedule here, but we appreciate those of you tuning in nonetheless. And let's just jump right into it here. Full disclosure, I had a busy weekend myself. I was out and about during the O'Reilly race, and obviously there's this little tournament going on in the country right now called the World Cup. Maybe you've heard of it. So my attention has been split a little bit here over the last couple of weeks, especially. But this weekend was able to catch the end of the O'Reilly race, and then I did not stay up until whatever it was, 1:45 a.m. for the Cup race, and we'll ask that question in just a moment. But first and foremost, Brandon, I just want to get your thoughts. Obviously, we'll cover Cup and O'Reilly during the main portion of the show, but like I said, it's hard to believe already. This is year 5 of this new Atlanta Super Speedway, so to speak, and we've gone through enough time now that I think the surface has started to age a little bit. And I'm honestly torn because I feel like if I think of drafting tracks, I think of traditional plate racing, super speedway racing. I've been pleasantly surprised at the product that Atlanta has put on. I think that it's far preferable, at least in the next-gen Cup Series era, to what we're getting currently at Daytona and Talladega with the Gen 7 car. But I also can't help but miss the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I will fully acknowledge they held out long enough. It was time for a repave, but there is a part of me that wishes, could we have done this to Texas instead, or maybe another mile and a half? I don't know if Kentucky would have had the infrastructure for what they were trying to do here. I know people weren't a huge fan of that track or that configuration, but I felt like we had a really great thing going with Atlanta. If we had given the surface a couple of years to age, we could have kept that old configuration here. So I do miss that, but I'm also torn, like I said, because I think when the product works, it's great, but it also potentially leads to scenarios like we got in the O'Reilly race, which I think was not so great. So what are your thoughts overall on what we currently have in this new era of Atlanta?
Well, Ben, I've heard the phrase, if ifs and buts were fruits and nuts, then we'd all have candy for Christmas. I mean, I just like you, wish that it happened to Texas Motor Speedway as much as the next guy, but it happened to Atlanta. And it's crazy how long it's been since we've had this reconfiguration. I can remember the old paving pictures and stuff like it was yesterday. Working on the new Atlanta Motor Speedway, which now has been losed and made Echo Park Speedway for the time being. You think of ISM Raceway, you think of Infineon. It's just one of those cycles. It's kind of working with the brain now, and it's actually appropriate because of the changing the way the place races. It's got a lot of charm to it, right? And with the surface aging, it's produced a lot of exciting racing, depending on who you speak to. But I mean, for the majority of fans and analysts alike, I think you've got to say that it's exciting, and your entertainment value for wherever you place that is pretty high, and it produces the kind of racing that we say we used to see at Daytona and Talladega. And the Daytona and Talladega, they're supposed to be our super speedway juggernauts, but not exactly producing the same kind of racing that they did in the past, and struggling on that sort of package. But for some reason with this Gen 7 race car, when we bring it down to the 1.5 mile configuration and we up the banking, let them go full throttle, we get the kind of racing, a little more of what we would like to see at Daytona and Talladega, again, depending on who you're asking. But I mean, I like you, Ben, also have great memories of Atlanta Motor Speedway, and that was my if I'm getting it right, that was my first Cup experience at a race. I was at Darlington in '03. I was practicing qualifying, didn't really count. Nashville Super Speedway, never saw any Cup action, so it was Atlanta 2018 that I got to experience the first Cup race, and that was after a long rain delay as well. So Atlanta, no stranger to the rain, as the country song says. But yeah, I'm kind of with Dale Jr. on this one. Is it bad that I like both? I mean, I love
Yeah.
the new Echo Park Speedway in chunks. When it's good, it's great. Yes, I agree with Dale. It's the hottest ticket for a new fan. If you want someone, if someone's skeptical about putting down a lot of money for a race ticket, send them to Echo Park Speedway. They're going to have a good time. And really, no matter where they sit, I think they're going to have a good time. But also, I do miss the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where that really chewed up tires, and the drivers really had to work at track position, and it was a driver's track, kind of like Darlington in some ways. It was, you really had to learn how to master it. But in some respects, you have to learn how to master Echo Park Speedway too. It's not really we've heard from those that know better. It's not really the kind of place where you can just kind of bide your time, and if you just avoid the wrecks, eventually you'll make your way up to the front. No, if you're back in the 20s or the 30s in the pack, you're really going to have to be hustling all race long if you want to have any shot of being in the top 10. So I think there's merit to both of them. I miss both of them. I'm glad we've got this new one. It's just the progress of the changing of the times, and this is the era we're in now. I think the best thing though is that the track is aged, and it's really helped the product compared to where it was in 2022.
Yeah, I'm more sold on it than I was when we first heard the plans
Absolutely.
for it in the first couple of years. I think the product has gotten better as the surface has aged. But that's fine. I didn't know that about Darlington. So Darlington '03 would have been your first experience. Was that the weekend
Not the
that
one you're thinking of.
Okay.
Not there was the spring one,
It
or
was
whichever one. The fall is.
it was the Southern 500, not the Carolina Dodge Dealers 400 or
Yes, it
whatever.
was not. They touched. It wasn't Carolina Dodge Dealers 400. It was the Southern
Okay.
500. Practice and
So it's not
qualifying. Bush practice and qualifying that day. I think we saw. It might have been Newman on the pole. That's a good. It's a good guess for '03, but
or yeah, that
yeah.
used to win every poll it seemed like, but okay,
Rocket
so that's a
Man.
little bit better, but it's not like you were there that weekend. I mean, you missed out on
No,
what
and
history
I
was.
used to think I was there that weekend as I grew up, and then I did some research and I was like, oh yeah, it was Labor Day
Gotcha.
weekend. We weren't there for that. That had already happened.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, I tend to be of your and Dale Jr.'s mindset as well here. I there are parts of both that I like, but I do feel conflicted again because I feel like when you have pack racing and you have drafting style racing, it does lead to some tendencies that I'm not a huge fan of. And quite honestly, I think as I've matured as a race fan, I've kind of, I still think Daytona and Talladega super speedway racing is, fantastic and a spectacle when it goes right. When it goes wrong, obviously it has the potential to go very wrong. And I'm
Yes.
not a huge fan of particularly big accidents or things like that. And we've certainly seen some of those at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway in recent years, and saw a lot of that on Saturday night with the O'Reilly race. I couldn't believe I went out. My friends and I ended up going to Top Golf down in Boston, and man, I could not believe I got home and not only was the race still going, but I got to witness the fourth of those red flags, and our friend Luis Torres going absolutely crazy. I think trying to keep track of all the red flags and the reason for them on Saturday night, but and then and again we'll get into this a little bit later, but felt bad for the underdogs and how that race ended, kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. But then again, like watching the highlights from Sunday, I'm like, if this were what we were getting at Daytona or Talladega, I mean, that reminded me of having just rewatched the '07 Busch series and watching those Daytona races, like how spread out those cars were, how much handling actually mattered back in those days. I wish we could get back to that. And I think, quite honestly, that would reduce the number of 20 to 25 car pileups that we get if they're more spread out like that. There's more room for drivers to navigate and avoid situations such as those. But
That's a big proponent of it, and a lot of this Talladega Daytona racing we see nowadays is just 3 wide, 4 wide, fuel mileage, wait for the stage break sort of chaos that we've been seeing, and someone makes one little slip, and it's enough to set the whole thing in motion.
For sure. Good to see Iceman here in the chat. I mean this as a
Yes.
compliment. I thought someone took Brandon's place for this episode because Brandon I got to be honest with you, Brandon, until you said something, I didn't even, I mean, I noticed it now, obviously, but I didn't realize until you mentioned it to me. But yeah, good to see you again, Iceman. Stay tuned. I've got some updates for you on the Owners Championship projects at the end of the show. But speaking of the end of the show, the end of the night, we had a rain delay, obviously, that we had to sit through on Sunday, and I personally did not go the distance. I had I think a lot of people did. They had work Monday mornings and felt bad that they couldn't.
That's the downside about Sunday night racing.
Yeah, well, so let me throw the question over to you, Brandon. If we're going to do these night races, would you rather them be Saturday night, number one, and then number two, on this particular night, you had some flashbacks. I think Kelly Crandall was talking about Daytona 2015, the July race there, the one where Austin Dillon went into the catch fence. Thankfully, we didn't have anything like that happen during the finish, although we did have some controversy, and we'll get into that in segment 2. But what did you think of a decision to restart the race and end up going the full distance and finishing the race roughly at 1:45 Eastern time here?
I think it was perfect for NASCAR to wait it out and try to the best of their ability for the fans that stayed, which it looked like a good number of them did, considering what time it was. It was good on the sanctioning body to just keep trying to find a window and get it done in the night, in the wee hours of the morning, because I mean, and I say this with some bias, because on the radio affiliate side, I'd much rather have it done into the wee hours of the morning instead of breaking into our programming on Monday, which hasn't happened too often, as a matter of fact, since 2023 season when we joined on here locally. But yeah, I would, from that standpoint, I would much rather have it done the night of, whenever they can get it done. I was happy with getting it completed, even though I couldn't really stay up to watch it. But I know why they do the Sunday night racing as much as they can, and Saturday night has kind of fallen out of fad. We know Richmond is coming up on the calendar on Saturday night, per tradition, but I'd see why they do it for Sunday nights, because Saturday nights they can't seem to figure out the formula to get the TV ratings up how they want them to justify having it on Saturday night. And then you got the other argument where, well, everyone works on Mondays, so why are you doing it on Sunday night?
Yeah. Well, work and school, as I spend.
Work and school, yes. Yeah, but I mean, there's pros and cons to both of them. I think they're weighing out what means more to them, and I think the answer would be the TV ratings, and so that's most likely why it is Sunday night.
Yeah, well, and historically, and I knew this from following game show ratings back in the day, but if a game show got a Friday night slot, that was basically the kiss of death right there, because Friday and Saturday nights historically have always been the least viewed nights on television. And obviously that I'm going back 10 to 15 years at this point. It's possible trends have changed now, but people would go out Friday evenings and Saturday evenings because they didn't have those commitments on Sunday night. And listen, I'm an adult now. I just turned 27. If I wanted to, I could stay up till 2 a.m. and drag myself out of bed and probably be half asleep at my desk. I probably wouldn't be performing well, but I wouldn't have the same, like, kids trying to stay up for these races. Like, no responsible parent's going to let their kids stay up to, I would hope not, till 1:45, 2 in the morning, to just to watch a NASCAR race here. Which again, maybe not as much of an issue this time of year, but I would
the cool parents, right?
Yeah. Well, even in the summer, I would imagine most parents want their children in bed well before 2 in the morning. But
son, this is why God gave us DVR. We can watch it tomorrow.
Yes. Well, nowadays you don't even need DVR, right? You can just log on to your local streaming service, whatever program you have. Half the time you don't even need DVR. It's available on streaming the next morning. Maybe not for live sports as much, but you can probably catch the replay later for some of these here. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys, man. In my mid to late 20s, I can't believe I have to say that about myself.
It doesn't get any better.
Yeah, it's a struggle for me too. I gotta be honest. But well, let's move on now. I mean, that's a conversation tale as old as time, talking about start times. For me, the earlier, the better. Hello, David Land, with his noon campaign there. But let's talk about your race winner, Ryan Blaney, an absolutely dominant performance. I will tell you, I saw this tweet as well. He comes away 55 points for the win, 10 for winning stage 1, 10 for winning stage 2. He did not pick up the fastest lap point, however. That point, you want to take a wild guess at who prevented the perfect 76-point evening for Ryan Blaney? It was Cody Ware.
Cody Ware.
Just like we all predicted.
Another
right?
Ford driver, just like we predicted.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. But I think that's the problem with the fastest lap point in NASCAR racing, especially on a track like Atlanta. Like it's almost impossible for Blaney, if he's out leading the pack most of the time, and he's the one punching the hole in the air for the other cars to draft behind him. It's practically guaranteed, but he's not going to have the fastest lap of the race. Now, at a road course, for example, I think maybe it makes more sense to award a fastest lap point there, but I don't know. It is funny that they introduced that right as F1 decided to scrap it again. But
it's a little
yeah. Don't look now. But for all the talk about, oh my goodness, Ford is so far behind Chevrolet, who's so far behind Toyota. Toyota's just running away with everything. They're dominating. What's Ford going to do? They're in so much trouble. I took a look at the point standings following this weekend here, and I can tell you Denny Hamlin is still in the lead. Tyler Reddick is 24 back. That's funny. I thought he was just going to run away with everything, and we were 3 races into the year saying, full season points format's not going to work, right? He's 24 back of Denny Hamlin now, but in third place, the best of the rest, aside from your 2 championship favorites so far this season, is Ryan Blaney, who is 65 back of Hamlin, and doing quick math in my head here, 41 back of Reddick, and then it's a full 61 back on top of that to the 4th place driver, Ty Gibbs, who's 126 back of his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate there. So it has been quite quietly, I would say, a very successful season for Ryan Blaney so far in terms of building up a points tally and positioning himself well for the chase reset.
Yeah, it's been really nice to see. And Ryan Blaney doing so well for Ford. And you look at the next Blue Oval in 7th, Chris Buescher from Prosper, Texas there for RFK, pulling the load there. We look at team owner Brad Keselowski back in 19th and Ryan Preece ahead of team owner in 18th in the 60 machine. And then look at Team Penske, the highest Team Penske driver outside of Ryan Blaney. Well, there's just 3. Austin Cindric in 14th. Joey Logano back in 17th, moved up a position after Sunday night's race. And Austin Cindric also up 1 position over Shane Van Gisbergen. But it can be argued, though, Ben, that one good night at a track that's so unlike all the others on the calendar can't exactly equate to Ford's back, baby. It's probably just Ryan Blaney's just really good, and he can chug a lug in any equipment that he's given.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe I'm gonna look this up real quick just to stat check myself here. But I was very surprised, and yes, it is his 19th victory already in the NASCAR Cup Series. I feel like he's been very quiet about it, but he's been adding to that total here over the last several years, and he's got a Cup championship. I think you can already pretty much say Ryan Blaney is a lock for the NASCAR Hall of Fame one day. He's going to get to 20 wins. I think that's only a matter of time, and he'll probably far exceed that if he continues on the trajectory that he's been on, and he's got a Cup championship. So I think he is already at a level where, if that's all anybody ever did, I mean, we just saw, Jeff Burton didn't win a Cup championship, but he has 21 wins. He had success in the lower divisions, much as Ryan Blaney has, and he's going into the Hall of Fame next year. I think you can already start to have that conversation about Ryan Blaney.
I love that for him, but I wish his dad Dave could have had a similar career. But I'm sure he's so proud of his son, though. It's awesome to see.
I just wish his dad Dave could have gotten one, and you know which one I would choose, right? I've said that multiple times. If I can go back and change one race result, it's the 2012 Daytona 500. Ironically, another race that didn't finish until the early hours of a weekday morning.
And also big fire plume by Juan Pablo Montoya and all of that.
That I was not allowed to stay up for. I went to bed thinking Dave Blaney I was going to wake up and hear that Tommy Baldwin was the winning car owner for the Daytona 500, but just couldn't believe that they they dropped that tide on the racetrack, and yeah, just the craziest thing I've ever seen. But Iceman says some of these people who jump to conclusions after Reddick won first 3 races are why NASCAR fans are stereotyped as negatively as they are, which really sucks. Looking at okay, I wasn't
All right. Well,
I wasn't going to go there, but
storylines. Early in the year, you have to have storylines every week. You have to have something to talk about every week, and so questions get brought up before. When Tyler Reddick was winning 3 in a row, you open up the door for opinions like that before the season plays out. So, I mean, can you blame people for having opinions? I mean,
it's almost as if there were 33 races still to go and plenty of time for that lead to come back.
It's easy to draw conclusions. I get it.
Yeah. Well, and because you brought it up, Brandon, I do want to just, especially since Iceman's here in the chat tonight, looking at the Chase preview, you mentioned Ryan Preece is 18th in points right now. He is 26 back of Eric Jones, but you got to remember he had the 25-point penalty for that intentional wreck, which again, that's a whole nother can of worms that we can get into based on some recent decisions that have been made and haven't been made with Hello SVG and Austin Hill, and that conversation that was deemed interesting there. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in that meeting, but Ryan Preece was penalized 25 driver points. The RFK 60 team was not penalized 25 owner points, which means they are only 1 back of Legacy Motor Club's 43 team for that 16th spot in the owner's standings, and that could be the difference when it comes time for the Chase cutoff. So again, which I think only adds to the frustration that Ryan Preece must be feeling, that this penalty could be the difference between whether he gets in or not. His team is a little bit closer to that owner's battle, or owner's bubble, I should say, in that battle to get in that chase. So they will at least have that to race for, I suppose, if he's able to make it in. Maybe he, falls back a little bit and neither of them make it, or maybe he's able to regain some of that ground on the driver's side as well and not have it be a split kind of situation there, but definitely worth keeping our eye on for sure. I think that's the more likely split scenario at this point than the Hendrick 48 or the RCR former 8 team that Austin Hill is now driving for, obviously, but we will keep our eye on that as the chase approaches. One more thing before we move on to the O'Reilly race. We have to talk about Bubba Wallace's penalty. Felt bad for the driver of a number 23, falling all the way to 29th when he should have had a top 3 finish based on the evening that he had and the finish that he had. NASCAR argued that he, quote unquote, advanced his position when he went below the double line to try to make a pass on the final lap. He didn't ultimately advance his position while he was down there. I saw some people saying he still made up ground, and that goes against the letter of the law, even if the law itself goes against the spirit of hard super speedway racing. I don't think I need to explain how I feel about the double yellow line rule on super speedways. I thought it was bad enough in Daytona and Talladega. Now it appears to have reared its ugly head again here at the new Atlanta super speedway. But Brandon, I think there's been quite a bit of debate and discussion on this. Some fans are saying they thought it was pretty cut and dry and he should have been penalized. Others, and I think I fall into the camp of it's caused more harm than it has good, or caused more wrecks even than it's prevented in many respects. I'm not a fan of the law or the rule in general. Hello, Justin Haley. He certainly knows about that, as does Regan Smith and several others as well.
The list goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the 23 team and the penalty that unfortunately came Bubba Wallace's way for that move on the last lap?
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate, isn't it? Because he was having such a great night and staying up in the top of the field for the majority of the evening, the early morning as well. But as far as the double line rule, I wish NASCAR would enforce it strictly, and if they're going to enforce it, you got to be strict about it, even if you didn't advance your position. If you're like you said, the letter of the law, if you're getting below the double yellow line and you're making up any sort of ground at all, it's got to be the same for everybody. We got to fight for consistency. If they're going to do it, it's got to be for everybody in the same way, fair or foul. But if they finally take that rule away, then we'll be a little more free about it. But I do remember the reasons that it is there in the first place, though. I can think of Tony Stewart in turn 3 at Daytona, and or was it Matt Kenseth? Maybe I don't remember, but all the different instances that brought up the double yellow line rule in the first place of just crazy danger that I know if you took some if you took any sort of regulation, away, or you repealed anything that you placed down like this, that drivers would absolutely, if they see a chance to go down and advance their position in a kamikaze, dangerous sort of way, that they absolutely would.
Yeah, I mean, I am sure that we would still have plenty of big wrecks on the super speedways if drivers were allowed to. Yeah, I mean, and we've seen it. We've talked about track limits on road courses before, right? Like if it's paved, believe me, drivers will try to use it to their advantage if they think they're able to do so. But again, I think it's just
Yeah, Iceman, it's claimed a lot of victims for sure.
Yeah, and it's caused a lot of controversy. I remember, Harrison Burton was under investigation for, trying to defend the run that Kyle Busch had in that summer Daytona race, and Lee Diffie had to calm his dad down from the booth and say, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they are checking this. And then thankfully
they are looking at it.
That would have been, that would have been the biggest uproar. I think if they had taken that one away, that would have been very disheartening. But yeah, I mean, it appears to be a judgment call more than anything, especially in a situation like this. And I'm not a fan. Yeah. And again, Iceman bringing up even more examples here. Yeah, I mean, I think just Haley 2018, that was the night that I went full blast on this rule and said there's
I'm sure.
And I know my editor in chief
happened to Haley again.
Yeah.
Well, he parked on the yellow line, yeah.
Yes.
After he won. As more of a statement, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I know that was Brock will tell you to this day that Regan Smith won that Talladega race that they gave to Tony Stewart after they said that Smith's pass would not be allowed below the line there. Just circling back before we move on, Iceman, and this might be a nice segue to O'Reilly, actually, which is worse, Ryan Preece's predicament or Roger Caruth's? If you're talking about, because I just pulled up the drivers and owner points for O'Reilly, it looks like Caruth is 17 back of Taylor Gray for the spot in the top 12, whereas the 88 Junior Motorsports team is second behind. Obviously, we all know who's leading both of those, Justin Allgaier and his 7 Junior Motorsports team. So you certainly, I feel for Raja just as much as I feel for Carson Kvapil, but they've been bouncing around so much. That's just the business of the sport and what these teams sometimes have to do to make the business work. But I think hopefully Raj is able, and he's even put in some decent runs in the 32 car, I think, this year for Jordan Anderson's team. So hopefully he's able to continue to string those together and fight for that spot as it comes time for the chase here in just a few weeks. It's hard to believe we're already in the middle of July here. It's going to be here before we know it, and we'll be having those resets, and we will see just how much I'm going to have to continue to fight the good fight here. If believe me, if Justin Allgaier doesn't win this championship, unless he has a complete total meltdown in the final chase races, and you could maybe argue, well, this wasn't just one race, this was multiple. Like, okay, I can maybe grant you that, but the advantage that he has, I mean, he is far and away the only championship favorite at this point so far, and he added yet another win to his tally on Saturday night. And I do kind of hate it because, like I said, I've really enjoyed watching Justin Allgaier as he's matured over the years, and the fact that he looks as good as he ever has. Like I said, he is the overwhelming championship favorite at this point. He won a championship a couple of years ago. He's, I think, what is it now, 6th all time, Riley wins. And I think if he gets another championship, like I've said, talking about Ryan Blaney, the other winner at Atlanta this weekend, don't even think it's debatable anymore. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
He's overqualified to put in the Hall of Fame at that
100%. Point. But I couldn't help but feel bad. I mean, I thought Ryan Sieg had gone through a lot of heartbreak with what he's had now 5 runner-up finishes. I think Brennan Poole, when you look back to all the way back to his days with Ganassi 10 years ago in that Talladega race that he should have won, but before they got trigger happy on the caution, Elliott Sadler took the checker flag instead, and to be leading on the last lap. And I'm glad Tommy Joe Martin's got a shout out from Adam Alexander. I'm sure he was losing his mind. And I got to meet Tommy. Actually, he was in the media center briefly at Sonoma, and Brock was able to introduce myself to him. One great guy, and one of the I think true team owners that embodies the spirit of the O'Reilly series, and some of these smaller teams being able to, occasionally flex their muscles and take the fight to these teams with infinitely more sponsorship and equipment and resources. And if the race had been just one lap shorter, would have been a heck of a story for Brennan Poole there. But Just the way it worked out at the end. And I feel like this frequently happens. Like when we have a situation on a super speedway where there's a bunch of underdogs at the front of the pack and they all try to start winning the race themselves. And I'm like, if one of you if you guys work together and stay in line just a little bit longer, you can make it to the point where it's guaranteed to have one of you win the race. But we ended up getting some trouble there on the last lap, and that's what allowed junior motorsports teams to come through. And like I said in the intro, all that for a Justin Allgaier win. I don't want to make it sound too bad because I know Allgaier is certainly a popular driver, and I'm sure this was still a popular win in that regard as well. But I got to tell you, it was definitely heartbreaking to see some of those small teams run into trouble there on the last lap. But Brandon, I think this goes back to the debate that we were having at the start of a show. I think this is what we can sometimes get when you turn a 1.5 mile track into a super speedway. You get chaos like this. Do you have any general thoughts on what we saw in the O'Reilly race on Saturday night?
It was finally an O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race that saw double overtime, and apparently that hadn't happened this year yet. And correct me, I'm not even sure if overtime had happened yet. Is that correct?
I'd have to fact check that. I don't know that off the top of my head.
No, we'll definitely double overtime, but yeah, I mean, I was kind of dreading getting to that point. So yeah, it was kind of a mess. Honestly, it felt like no one could drive or keep it together. It was just a kind of caution ridden, and but yeah, Justin Allgaier coming out of it, just further solidifying his case for the championship title and his case for the Hall of Fame. But yeah, not my favorite O'Reilly race by any stretch.
Yeah, certainly disappointing to see all that chaos there at the end. But let me see. I pulled the standings up. I got to get back to my tab with the actual race results if I can find that. Here we go.
Notable piece of the standings, though, really quick, though. Parker Retzlaff is in 9th.
Yes.
Poole and Viking Motorsports.
Yeah, well, Viking again, you had Parker Retzlaff 3rd and Anthony Alfredo 5th. Repeat of Sonoma with them both in the top 5 there. I mean, that team is just, and I know people brought up they're driving old colleague cars. I'm sure that certainly doesn't hurt. But these are a couple of drivers who I think had a lot of question marks throughout their careers about, whether or not they were really, on track to be successful in this sport on the path that they were on, and to be kind of put into this situation where this was a chance for them to go out and prove themselves with a team that's still relatively young and punching above their weight as Viking is. I mean, this has just been a tremendous season for both of them. And I think they keep driving like this, they might be able to find their way into victory lane here as well. We should also give a shout out to Garrett Smithley, Kyle Sieg, and the new all-time starts leader as well, Jeremy Clements, all coming away with top 10s as well. So it wasn't a complete disaster for the underdogs. I mean, I know you did have Nick Sanchez there with maybe an ill-advised move, and that taking Brennan Poole out, and Ryan Seeger obviously falling back there as well. But yeah, I mean, just like I said, great to see them all up there having the chance to fight. I mean, Jeremy Clements coming back to get a top 10 after the penultimate restart is pretty impressive in its own right. But yeah, again, it's just frustrating that it comes down to that and kind of ruins the morale of the race for a lot of people, having to sit through so many delays and so many red flags just to try to get to the finish of these things can be pretty frustrating. But that's the trade-off, I guess. It's thrilling when it goes well, but it's frustrating when it doesn't.
Yeah, you cannot hit a home run every single time, and as a fan, you have to understand that.
For sure. Yeah, so just reading some more J-Skin notes here. Nearly 4-hour race. We should also mention Allgaier clinches the number 1 seed in the chase, which again, he hasn't only clinched a spot, he has clinched the number 1 seed already, which is kind of remarkable, and again, just speaks to how dominant he's been and how much I would say you could already crown him a champion-elect if it weren't for the fact that we're going to reset the points here in just a little bit. But the way he's been running, it might not matter. He might just continue to keep adding to his win tally and win the title anyway. Who knows? All right, so moving on here, let's talk about, as we get into kind of our Shoot the Breeze segment here, 2 series at Atlanta and 2 series at Lime Rock Park as well. And frustrating for me, 2nd year in a row, if they keep running this race, one of these days I'm going to get out there. Don't you guys worry. I owe it to the New England racing community to go support that race. Love seeing Mike Joy back on the truck broadcasting. There's a lot of history over at Lime Rock, and great facility. Heard nothing but great things about it, but unfortunately, again, just with my schedule this year, it is a 3-hour drive. So it's either I would have to find a hotel and spend the night probably if I wanted to do both Friday and Saturday, but or it would be a lot of round trip driving for me. So I would maybe only have to hit up Saturday here, but one of these days, hopefully it stays on the schedule long enough and we can get that done. But want to give a shout out to Thomas Annunziata, who, by the way, I don't know what exactly happened, but that would-be tribute car that he was going to run for his hero, Kyle Busch. I mean, that is going to be one of the greatest lost paint schemes ever, I think. And it's unfortunate that something didn't work out with the, I mean, I saw people were really hammering Mars Incorporated on social media, and I didn't want to go there yet because I don't know exactly. I mean, the story we heard is that they just didn't get the agreement done in time to run the race at Lime Rock. So hopefully something gets resolved there and they can run it at a later date later this season. But the planned tribute that they had, and obviously Thomas still going out and winning that race anyway. Job well done. And he was running well on Saturday too in the truck race in that one Tricon truck. Keeping an eye on for the Owners Championship implications for that as well. That team has had a lot of drivers cycling in and out of it this year, and Thomas was going to give it a good run, and unfortunately had a huge fire underneath that truck, and was fortunately able to go get checked out. And I think the latest reports are he is recovering and doing all right. But from the highs of winning the ARCA race to the lows of what happened on Saturday. But also want to give a shout out to Andrew Ranger, a name that maybe newer fans might not be as familiar with, but Andrew Ranger fighting for the win in an ARCA race at Lime Rock. Welcome to 2010. It's been a while since we've seen that name up front in this track as well. Just a complete throwback to about a decade and a half ago, but closest rival to the dominant car of the day in that 70 team, and great run for him. So good to see him back out there as well. And then in the truck race, how about Grant Empfinger still getting it done? I think some questions of whether he was washed or past his prime have been greatly exaggerated based on his performance this weekend. So that was great to see over in the truck series. So again, like I said, it is on my bucket list. I'm going to get out there one of these years, but I hope it stays on my schedule because it's a great facility and I think put on a great show for us this weekend. Yeah. So Brandon, I don't know if you got to catch it. I think you said you got to catch one of the races we were talking about, right?
ARCA. Yeah, I got to catch ARCA.
Yeah. And I got to give Lime Rock a shout out for this as well here. Opening their open paddock policy extended to even the NASCAR Truck Series on Friday, which again was, I guess it was a little bit of a pro and con there because you had a situation where, yes, the paddock's open, but the trucks are really just going through a tech line. On Friday, there wasn't as much actual action for them until Saturday, but still great to see that nonetheless, and the facility being able to honor that policy, even with NASCAR in town here. And then moving on now, we'll talk about some stick and ball sports stuff here as we close out the Tuesday edition of this show here once again. World Cup semifinals. The first one just wrapped. Congratulations to Spain beating France, and we are either going to get a Euros rematch with England or the would-be finalissima Euro Copa America matchup between the Euro champion Spain and the Copa America champion Argentina. So we'll see what happens in tomorrow's match. I personally am probably going to be rooting for whoever wins tomorrow's game because I have family in England and I'm a Messi fan. It'll be cool to see him go back-to-back. Nobody's gone back-to-back since Brazil, I think, in 58-62. So some history on the line there either way. And obviously England trying to win it for the first time in 60 years. Spain's already won it in my lifetime. It'd be cool to see them win again. It's nothing against Spain, but and it's going to be a great matchup nonetheless. But hard to believe there's only 2 games left. This World Cup has been a lot of fun, but all good things must come to an end here eventually. And then Brandon, I don't know if you got to watch the Home Run Derby last night. I heard about it. I didn't get to watch it live, but it's my Philadelphia Phillies hosting All-Star Weekend this year. And the Philly faithful thought they were going to see Kyle Schwarber win the Home Run Derby, but then Jordan Walker went and hit 6 home runs in a row and spoil the night there. But nice night for Schwarber nonetheless. And this isn't even the main prize, right? I think if you ask Mariners fans, would they trade Cal's home run Derby championship from last year for a trip to the World Series rather than going out in Game 7 of the ALCS, I think all of them would probably make that trade. So as long as the Phillies actually do something in October for once this year, I can forgive coming up just short in the home run derby. But yeah, I don't know, Brandon, if you have any thoughts on the current state. I don't know how your Braves have been doing recently. It's always, we're kind of in the dog days of summer right now. I'm sorry.
It's not too good here in summer. Yeah, no, has not been too good. And at the county fair last night, so didn't see a lick of the home run derby, but I'm sure they're having fun in Philadelphia. I did see some of the what do you call it? The what do they call the match? Or the match, the game before home run derby, where it's like futures or the
yeah.
It was national. I think it was a national like the actual All-Star game, like National League versus American League. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't seeing them all in Phillies style jerseys, but I guess that's the nature of hosting it in Philadelphia. So
yeah, I heard the broadcast was a little questionable as well. I've heard they kind of got it together by the end, but they had some difficulties at the start there. But yeah, I mean it's just All-Star weekend. Now's when we get in the heart of the season and kick it into high gear and try to get ready for a postseason run. But Iceman also adding here, Tricon are actually going to put Corey Heim in their number 5 truck. They're 55 points behind the 10th place number 62 Halmar Friesen truck being driven by Christopher Bell this weekend. Let me try to get a lay of the land here. Pull up the owner standings. Yeah, I got to be honest, I didn't realize the 5 truck was still in the mix there. Let's see. You've got the 62s on the cutoff there. 5 truck is 16th. So, and the 1 truck, despite the troubles this weekend, still third in those standings. So yeah, there'll definitely be a split situation there with at least a couple of those entries. So definitely worth keeping the eye on. Let's see. Did that one guy who hits home runs at bad times hit a homer? Castellanos, I don't even know. Castellanos, is that who you're referring to there, Iceman? I didn't hear anything about him this weekend. So I think we're in good shape there. He's not a Philly anymore, so I haven't been able to keep up with. I don't hear as much about Castellanos these days as I used to. Yeah, there we go. We got confirmation there. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't. I guess that's a good thing, right? If he only hits home runs in bad circumstances, then I guess. Well, I don't know. The world's on fire anyway, right? So what are you gonna do? Everything's kind of a mess right now, but got some stuff to look forward to this weekend. Obviously, I hate that it came at the expense of a Dover points race as a Delawarean, but it's the first points race for Cup at North Wilkesboro in 30 years. So that's a big deal. Certainly excited for all those fans that are going to be out there for that. And then Brandon, you're going to be on site at Nashville for the IndyCar race. So do you have anything to preview for us there? What are you most looking forward to for IndyCar this weekend?
First experience in the working paddock, so just trying to get my feet wet in the American open wheel side of things, and just trying to put together some story pieces, things I want to try to piece together over the weekend. Looking forward to seeing Indy Next in person. I haven't seen them since they were Indy Lights, so looking forward to seeing all those drivers and Miles Rowe, James Rowe, and all the different drivers there, and then also for the IndyCar series. We don't really have many storylines going on right now, do we? Nothing much about McLaren or anything making moves.
There's a couple.
Yeah, there's not too much to cover, so we should be okay.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we will look forward to that. If you have any questions, thank you, Iceman, as always. Cannot tell you enough how much we appreciate your support. Absolutely no pressure here. If you feel so inclined, I would appreciate it. But tomorrow I am going to be posting in my Patreon. I've already shared the link with a handful of people, but I am in Always Stay on the Green is in production, and the first 11 minutes are complete. I'm excited to share that on my Patreon page tomorrow. It's going to be available to all paid members, whatever the tier. And I may rework and reorganize my Patreon as I get closer to release. I used to, when I set it up a few years ago when I was still job hunting and trying to get more serious about putting more content onto my YouTube channel, I kind of just set up, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just set up a pay what you want tier, and had a couple people join at the $1 a month. One of them's Brock, actually. So Brock and I just kind of trade back and forth. I'm in his for $1, and he's in mine for $1. So we both can kind of keep up to date with what each of us is working on for our channels. But I think I'm going to make the trailer at least, or the teaser, I should say, the preview available to anybody in the paid tier. So definitely make sure you guys check that out if you're interested. Again, under no obligation to do so if you feel so inclined. I'm eternally grateful, but I don't want to twist anybody's arm into that either. I'm just letting you know it is an option if you want a sneak preview. But I am hard at work. My goal is to get this out sooner rather than later. That's what I'm going to be working on later tonight. Actually, I'm through race 4 of my editing, and I've got 31 plus the conclusion and epilogue to go. So still hard at work there, but I'm excited about the progress that I'm making there nonetheless. So if you have any final questions, if you're watching live, you can throw them in the chat right now. Iceman also bringing up the Indy Next title battle. That'll be exciting for you to get to watch there, Brandon. But that's pretty much all I have on my end here. For once, we're going to be a decent amount under an hour here. We always say it might be a lighter show night here. We're on a Tuesday instead of a Monday, and not as much to talk about in terms of races going on this weekend that we normally cover. But we're going to get you guys out of here before 8:30 tonight. So, Brandon, on that note, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off for the evening?
No, all good. Nashville going to host IndyCar this weekend, and then North Wilkesboro, the Window World 450. I hate that I'm going to be working something else whenever that's going on at the same time, but I really look forward to North Wilkesboro getting its first points race since 1996, and looking forward to see how that weekend goes overall. And then also Formula One at Spa, and this will be the last time until I guess till we start alternating whenever we go to the Belgian Grand Prix. So enjoying it while we can. Another trip to Spa.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing we have all those street races in the cities in the Middle East to keep us occupied while the classic venues
my coworker seems to really like Saudi Arabia and all these places. He likes the character of these places. I'm not sure why, but I told him we got to have him on this show because he could talk some Formula One with us for sure. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'd be open to that. I certainly respect that opinion. But I do. I mean, there's also the moral question of the Middle East money that is being made. I think that's the primary reason why there are so many races in that part of the world these days. But
say it with me, Aramco. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Hope somebody's okay out there. I don't know if the siren is coming through.
I can hear it all the way from here.
Okay, there you go. Sorry about that, guys. Limitations of being right next to a busy street corner. Sometimes we'll get that, but yeah. So I spent clarifying there. We got so we'll have it again next year, I guess, and then 29-31 going forward. Yeah, I mean that's the frustrating part for me is that we're bloating the calendar with all these races, but the traditional classic circuits are now
have to take a seat.
I mean we're lucky it's not being scrapped entirely. I mean because there's that alternative too. I guess we should be thankful we're at least getting it every other year, and maybe some will argue that'll make it more special, having the rarity of it, but that deserves an annual place on the calendar.
My coworker, his opinion about it was, well, Spa is just so dangerous. Anyway,
well, I don't know. I mean, I know that rest in peace, Antoine Hubert. I know certainly we've seen some serious accidents there over the years, but it's a dangerous sport. I feel like serious accidents can happen. We had Romain Grosjean at Bahrain, the next year after that. And
we're not going to go to Bahrain every other year. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that kind of crash going through like the Aramco barrier. I mean, that could happen. That could happen anywhere, right? So it's just sometimes you get a perfect storm of events that can be problematic. But we'll save that discussion for another show here. Give you all something to think about as we look forward to F1 returning, as well as North Wilkesboro. Been a long time coming for that, so we'll keep our eye on that this weekend, and all the racing news and notes we will have for you next week. Hopefully back on our regular schedule on Motorsport Monday next week. So stay tuned for that. For Brandon Crossland, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your week.